Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. On the show with me for the next hour as we figure out how Austin Matthews is going to finish with 10 shot attempts and 10 or fewer DK points. Our single entry assassin, Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, bud?
Doing pretty well. This slate is an interesting 9-gamer. At first glance last night, I gave that girl like drinking kombucha for the first time going like that's how I feel about this slate. So like it's a bit interesting. I don't know if I really like it. Some of these games I wish didn't exist. There's going to be some pretty chalky spots, but hopefully we can find some low-owned spots because there's a nice $20 on DraftKings, and hopefully one of you guys wins it.
Yeah, before we get too deep into today's slate, let's look at yesterday's slate real quick, because there's one, like I know we can talk about Chicago and Ottawa and, you know, maybe even the Tampa Bay game, but I think it's the Edmonton-Seattle game that interests me here the most, because Leon Draisaitl went absolutely nuclear last night, but Connor McDavid really didn't do much. 11 DK points. I mean, yeah, it's fine, but you know, you're not looking for 11 points when you're paying $9,200 for a player. And it made me think, like, I know we like to stack, and they're not on the slate today, so it's not particular for tonight's slate, but you know, for future Edmonton slates, we like to stack McDavid and Draisaitl a lot. But they don't always necessarily have huge games together. They do sometimes, you know, like last night, have one guy has a monster game where the other guy doesn't. And it does happen where Draisaitl goes off and McDavid doesn't, especially where they're on different lines. So I'm wondering how you do that, in where you're a guy that does like 1 to 3 lineups. Is there any times during the season when you split up McDavid and Draisaitl, or do you think it's like threading the needle too fine to try to catch the 2 or 3 games a year when one might go off without the other?
I split them up last night.
There you go.
How'd that go? Womp womp. I still cashed a little bit because I had Kane, so I had the Kane Hattie. But you know, McDavid, it's funny because like 1 assist, 4 shots on goal for most players, like, yeah, that, you know, I'll take that. For McDavid, that's an awful game. Of course, we were talking about how bad Draisaitl was 5-on-5 yesterday in the Discord chat, and he just goes and has a 45-point DK game just to shut us up. But that's how it goes. When, you know, Matthews and Draisaitl are on the same line, you know, it's a full send. When they're on different even strength lines, it's tough to really get them together because, you know, last night you're spending 17-4 for 2 guys on different lines. It's just difficult.
Yeah, and especially like when you're on such a short slate like that, you just know in the back of your head that if you put one and not the other and both go off, you're just screwed, right? Oh, so yeah, so that's always in the back of your head, but it's just something to keep in mind that there are going to be slates where one goes off without the other. And if you do have a build where, you know, maybe you have Draisaitl and Yamamoto or something like that, but you don't have McDavid, if you like the build, you can probably go with it. It probably won't work out, but most lineups don't work out anyway. That's just the nature of the game. So again, if you do like your lineup, I would say just go with it. But that's enough on last night's slate. We do have to move along. We have a huge slate ahead of us. Just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Yahoo Fantasy. They are our sponsor for today's show. We have a little giveaway through them that we're going to be getting to a little bit later, but thanks to Yahoo Fantasy. And while everybody is here, if you could just throw us a like and a subscribe. I see 61 people watching and only 10 thumbs up. We got 50 some thumbs missing. So give us a thumbs up if you could. Click that subscribe button as well. Really helps, keeps these shows coming on a near daily basis. And check out what we have up on the site today. We've got a lot of site for everybody to enjoy. If you want some free premium tools and data, we have PGA golfer rankings, NHL player projections, and NBA player rankings all up on the site. And also, if you're playing NBA DFS, you should check out Adam Scherr's NBA Deep Dive, which is most in-depth free NBA DFS article available everywhere. And he's also turned himself into a little bit of an NHL cash game shark guy here. Is that right, Josh?
Yeah. He also shipped the $15 in GPP a couple nights ago. So he's having himself a good hockey season. He almost Josh stacked the Hawks in cash last night, which was a bit ridiculous, but you know, it ended up working out. So good for him. I'll give him an early congratulations on shipping the 20 tonight, and hopefully he can redonate back to my wallet soon.
Yeah. Congrats to ship my money on this 20K win coming up tonight. What an awesome performance by him. But yeah, let's talk about those games anyway. We have a very important game right off the top. We have Vegas with a 2.7 implied goal total going into Toronto. The Maple Leafs have a 3.3 implied goal total. If I'm not mistaken, the Leafs total started a little bit higher and then has come down through the day as that over-under has come down. But obviously there's going to be a lot of interest in the Toronto side here. Austin Matthews probably should be the number one projected player for points across all sites. He'll be, one of the highest owned players, if not the highest owned player on the entire slate. And we do have his stack, the top line of Matthews, Nylander, and Bunting coming in as the highest owned stack on the slate, but it's still reasonable at about 16%. Injury news for Vegas: William Karlsson blocked a shot, broke his leg, broke his ankle, broke something. He's going to be out for a little while, and that has Brett Howden,
Rangers legend.
Yeah, as the top line center. For those unfamiliar with Brett Howden, he wasn't good enough to be the New York Rangers' fourth line center, so they shipped him off to Vegas, and he wasn't good enough to be their fourth line center either. The only reason he's in the lineup now is because I think they have 5 regular forwards out of the lineup, so they just need bodies. Like Brett Howden, the nicest thing you can say about him is that he might be an average NHL playmaker. Like, just about everything else he does is well below average, including defensively. So, Brett Howden going into the top 6 under the top line, there's just nothing from that Vegas side that really scares me. I'll talk about Vegas in a little bit, but I want to get your thoughts on Toronto because they are going to be popular here. We just saw that Toronto second line go off in their last game, so they're going to carry some ownership. What do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, I know we have a big slate. I just want to give a PSA to one of our avid watchers of the show, Austin Matthews. I know why your game's struggling. Come closer. It's time to have the hairline conversation. I know you see Jake Harry's luscious locks. I know you see Cliffy's hair. And to answer your question, yes, he will be promo shooting with Razor Ramon to try to revive the NWO. But you can't do it. You look ridiculous. As a fellow balding man to another balding man, just shave it. Grow Fu Manchu. Just shave the salad. It's getting ridiculous. There are people who are saying that Sean Couturier is a better play than you tonight. Okay. Just come into my DMs. Woosah, shave the head. Fix your game. Okay. To the Leafs. Austin Matthews has to break out of it soon, right? His wrist is supposedly healthy. The Leafs just bother me. The Tavares line look good. I mean, Tavares and Kerfoot look good. Marner, fraudulent player. He scored against the Leafs, or against the Wings, but I just he's kind of middling. I kind of like that second line in GPPs though. Austin Matthews, cash lock, 8,800. You got to play him. Because if you're he's been playing bad and you fade him, he's going to come out and have a 5-point game. But another thing is this Vegas Golden Knights defense with all these injuries on top of being poor defensively is just a mess. So as much as I don't want to play Leafs, because they've in the past few games, they've managed to have median performances. So if you fade them or you go heavy on them, you both are in trouble. But okay, yeah, you shared that meme in Discord with the clown suit on saying, the Leafs have the highest expected goals. And it's true, eventually it's going to regress to the mean. So you have to keep playing the Leafs and just hope, this is the game. And this may be the game because the Golden Knights have nothing, at least from a forward standpoint. So yeah, I think you got to go to line one here. Yeah, Matthews is going to be super high owned, but you full stack the line in GPPs. You full stack it. You put in Nylander, you put in Bunting, or, you leave off Bunting and put in a Tavares or something like that. You go 2C, get a little bit different in GPPs. But I think the top 6 of the Leafs, you have to play here. And if you're going to stack the second line, put in Kerfoot. He's 2,600. You know what I mean? Like he had a good game last game for 2,600. If he hits the score sheet once and has a couple shots on goal, he's going to pay off. So like, I think the play for GPPs with the Leafs here is just the full stack the lines. Don't one off, don't two man, just full stack. Get the three players at a lower ownership and hope they go off. And on the Vegas side, like there's just nothing there that I want to stack. Maybe like a one-off Marchessault, but like even that, like I think I'm just going to look to the blue line for the Knights.
Yeah, I'll start with Vegas. I agree with you. That's about the only thing I'm looking up for Vegas is like maybe like a two-man Marchessault Smith or something like that. They do PK together, so maybe you can get that shorthanded goal magic. Like sometimes I'll do that with Boston as well. I'll leave off Pasternak and I'll just play Marchand and Bergeron in case they get that shorthanded goal. But that's about my only interest in Vegas here in this game, at least amongst their forwards. I agree with you on Matthews. I wrote about him in the Power Plays article. I just want to read some things that I wrote about him. The concern would be if he weren't generating offense, but he is with over 4 shots per game. The team is also generating more shot attempts and more scoring chances per 60 minutes of 5-on-5 than any full season in his career. There's a reason he still leads our projections in raw point totals. Like, I get the people. Like, I did share a meme about the clown face about still playing Toronto, but I am still going to play a ton of Toronto. Like, Vegas is one of the worst defensive teams in the league this year. Those problems go back to last year. They're still without their 3 best defensive forwards. Zach Whitecloud is still out of the lineup. Like, this is just a very plum matchup for Toronto. I know the implied goal total is dropping. Maybe that drives a little bit of ownership away. That's just more good news from us. And in that Matthews article, I said creative stacks are going to be necessary in tournaments. And that's just because of his ownership. And that's something that you mentioned, right? Is like, to get creative, it might just be like full stacking the whole line, because you're right. I mean, just look at last night. Draisaitl was there, not the same line, but Draisaitl and McDavid are often stacked together. Draisaitl was half of McDavid's ownership, and you're going to get that with somebody like Michael Bunting, where he's going to come in considerably lower than Matthews. So I will say I'm veering more towards Toronto 1/ power play stacks. Not so much Toronto 2, but anything in that top 6 for Toronto I think is fine. I will say I do like Toronto 3 here tonight as well. The matchups only get better the further down you go in the Vegas lineup, and Toronto 3 has been very, very good this year when you look at their shot attempts and things like that. As a line, 62.7% shot attempt share. They're just not allowing anything, and that's keeping them in the offensive zone. So if you want a 2-man Kampa and Kasha, or Kasha and Engvall or something like that, I'm completely fine with that. I do like Toronto 3 as a filler line here tonight. On the blue line, Braden McNabb for Vegas is somebody that stood out to me, should get a lot of minutes, should block. Like, I think he's a very good candidate for the block shot bonus on DK is what I mean here. On the Toronto side, like Muzzin 3,600, I guess still, I think that's fine for a one-off, but other than that, I might just correlate. What do you think?
Yeah, and just to add on, Alec Martinez, 4,900, peripheral machine. I think he's a fine one-off as well.
All right, we'll go with Alec Martinez then. Next game, Detroit going into Montreal. Detroit has a 2.6 implied goal total. The Montreal Canadiens have a 2.9 implied goal total. Looks like, obviously, Tyler Bertuzzi's out tonight. He doesn't get to play games in Canada this year. Dylan Larkin also out tonight for Detroit. So that's 2/3 of the actually, if you include Jacob Vrana's injury, that's technically the entire Detroit top line out of the lineup tonight. That's some significant losses for them. But then you look over on the Montreal side, they're moving Jonathan Drouin over to the middle and breaking up the Dvorak line. Brendan Gallagher looks like he's going to play. I don't think we have 100% confirmation on that, but it looks like Gallagher probably going to play with Suzuki and Toffoli. I mean, if Detroit 2 is effectively Detroit 1 tonight, and Detroit 3 is effectively Detroit 2, and then, so on and so forth, it tells me I should like the Montreal depth a lot here tonight, but I don't think any team's burned us as much as Montreal has this year. So what do you think about them?
Like, I get it. Like, you see Hoffman, Drouin, Josh Harrison. There's a name value there, but like Jonathan Drouin is not an NHL center. There's a reason Tampa gave up on him. There's a reason he was on the wing for the past, whatever many years. Maybe, it pays off tonight because the Red Wings depth is just awful, but like, I don't know if I want to full stack that line with Drouin at center. And yeah, people are going to go to Toffoli, Suzuki, Gallagher. but their ownership is around 10%. And I get it, but like they have not been great this season. Like Toffoli's minutes have been down. He hasn't been shooting as much. Suzuki's play has been up and down at best this season. So like, if I had more confidence in the Canadiens, I think Vegas would too. Like 2.9 total at home right now with all these injuries just screams red flags. Like I want to get behind Montreal. I'm not going to blame you for playing them. Like I'm not going to tell you not to, but like in 1 to 3 lineups in a large field GPP, I don't think I'm going to get to Montreal at all. So, I mean, MME, sure, that's fine. But like 1 to 3, I can't make them a primary focus. I don't care how bad the Wings are. Like, okay, the Wings depth is bad. Like they're not horrific defensively. They've been okay. So, but Montreal has also been pretty bad. So like this game is just brutal. And I think, obviously Montreal's going to be the side, but with how they played in their ownership, I'm just going to, it's going to be a secondary focus for me. And on the wing side, there just really is not much there without Bertuzzi and Larkin. I mean, Adam Ernie's back, if that moves the needle for you. It was Zadina Suter Ernie stack for all the giblets, however you pronounce it. But like, I don't think I can just, focus anything on this game. It's just going to be MME for me.
Yeah, I will say, like, I don't necessarily mind that Detroit second line, Suter, Zadina, Veleno. And one of the reasons is, like, I'm high on Joe Veleno as a prospect. Like, I think I know they have him at the wing, but I think he's going to be a second line center sometime in the future. And it's just like a nice cheap filler stack. But like, I think I'm only going to play like 10 to 20 lineups tonight. And like, I don't know if that gets in 10 lineups. You know what I mean? Like it definitely gets in, like Detroit 2 probably gets in 150. I don't think it gets in 10 for me. On the Montreal side, like, honestly, I'm just looking at one-offs on the Habs side. Like Josh Anderson, the thing with Josh Anderson is like, I know players are streaky, but it seems like his shots really go in streaks. And right now he seems to be shooting a lot. So under 4K, maybe playing 16, 17 minutes. I don't mind Josh Anderson as a one-off. But I was talking in chat in our Discord earlier. I think a lot of Montreal's problems stem from Suzuki not being nearly as good offensively as he was last year. I don't know what the problem is with Suzuki, but he's just not. And that's with Montreal's step back generally as a team. I think that hurts everybody. So yeah, like Josh Anderson went off, Mike Hoffman went off, even like a Joel Armia went off. I don't hate that. Detroit 2, I think, is fine. Sam Gagner is probably somebody to keep in mind. Detroit's one of the more penalized team in the NHL, and I think Montreal is also in the top 10. So like Sam Gagner is probably going to move up and get some power play time for $2,500, and he's a good power play guy. I can only imagine what they're saying in chat about Sam Gagner, but listen, man, he's going to play 16, 17 minutes and get decent power play time for absolute stone min price. So I'm just saying.
Habs PK is just not good. So.
Is atrocious. Yeah. So once again, 2,500 one-off, don't mind him either. On the blue line, like Cedar and Petrie, I don't know what's going on with Petrie's peripherals, but it seems like his offense is cratered along with Montreal's. He's just not shooting the puck like he was last year. So I feel like 4,200 is kind of just fine. Cedar's a guy I would use if I'm stacking Detroit. Like, I don't know if I would just one-off him. What do you think here?
Yeah, I agree with that. And, just David Savard, 3K if you want to play him. Philip Hronik, 3K, has been getting over 20 minutes a night, power play 2. I mean, there's you probably could do worse with a one-off.
Yeah, you could. I do like Hronik at that price as well. That's a good call. To get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with them, you can do it with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our premium Slack channel, lineup builder, and much more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word. That's NHL Strategy Show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. Of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. For new users, that's promo code NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word, for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. And if you want to check out what we have on the site, I mentioned the premium tools a little earlier. I'll mention them again. We have PGA golfer rankings, NHL player projections, and NBA player rankings all up on the site today, so you can check out what we're all about before investing any of your hard-earned dollars with our website. So that's promo code NHL Strategy Show. Come and join us here at Awesemo.com. All right, moving along. Arizona, 2.3 implied goal total. Going into Philly, 3.3 implied goal total. My throat is drying out, Josh, so I'll just get you to take it right off the top.
Yeah, so one thing on the Arizona side that I'll say, Jacob Chikrin has moved back to power play 1. I don't know how big of an impact that will have, but at that price, I think it makes him more playable. You'll see. So let's start with the Philly side. News here is they moved Yandel off the top power play unit and moved Provorov to the top power play. Also, Cam Atkinson up to the top power play. So Philly 1, Giroux, Couturier, Konechny, full power play 1. They're coming in under 10% and a 3.3 total at home against the Coyotes, who just have brutal penalty kill and are just not a good team. So, like, I really like the Flyers top line tonight. They're coming in a little bit lower owned than I expected. I would imagine in our next ownership run, they may bump up a little bit, but at that ownership, it's okay to, in GPPs. And, as we always talked about, like trying to get low owned lines in high total games, like Philly 2 right now is coming in at 1-2%. And I like that line. Joe Farabee, Derek Brassard. Like Brassard's price came down. He was in the mid 5s for a while there, and I just couldn't do it. But at 4K on DraftKings, I think is a fully fine price for Brassard. Atkinson on power play 1 there. So I like the Phillies the Flyers top 6 here. I don't mind James Van Riemsdyk one-off, but he's off the top power play now. So maybe you leave that alone. On the Arizona side, I don't think I'm going to be looking to full stack anything. Jake says Cliffy will be slamming Arizona too, and I'll just reiterate that if I was going to go to anywhere in Arizona, it would probably be a Yaskin Kessel 2-man. But I don't know if stacking a team with a 2.3 total on the road on a 9-game slate is going to be a very long-term profitable strategy. But I will have a little bit of Yaskin Kessel.
There we go. All right. I do want to talk about Arizona for this reason, is that the Phillies' second and third lines haven't necessarily been great this year. Both underwater by shot share. Now, whether you look at expected goals, things could change. But that Arizona's second line has been really, really good. Larson, Yashkin, and Kessel together, 59% shot share, 66% expected goal share going into a plus matchup. So, like, the only thing that's kind of keeping me from really using Arizona is, like, there's not a ton of expensive spots. Like, yeah, there's Toronto, but like maybe Calgary, depending how you construct your lineup. Like, there's just not a lot of super expensive spots where you need, a 6K 2-man stack or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing keeping me from Yashkin, Larson, Kessel, at least a little 2-man. It's a great matchup. I just don't see the need to use them tonight. I want to mention Chikrin. I'll get to that in a second. The Flyers top line, I think, is in a great spot. They're one of my favorite lines on the entire slate. If you look at their ownership from our top stacks tool, it's completely in check. We have them at 13.8% top 2%, 10% top stack. That's just fine. The Philly second line that you mentioned, I think it was interesting to mention it for this reason. They're 14,900 over on DraftKings. They're the exact same price as the Suzuki Toffoli Gallagher line from Montreal that we just talked about, right? And they're coming in at a quarter of the ownership. I would rather play Philly 2 than Montreal 1 tonight at the same price. And I think that's kind of what we mean here by there are other spots to go other than that Montreal line. If you're in that mid-range, Philly 2 is definitely one of them. So I like Philly 1 a lot. That's where my focus is. I think if you're looking for a mid-range line, that Philly 2 is fine. I also like an Arizona 2 2-man if you really need the savings. They kind of fill in that Toronto 3 filler stack niche for me. On the blue line, love Jacob Chikrin tonight. Flat out, absolutely love him. One of my favorite defensemen on the entire slate. Now that he's up on the top power play unit, Philly leads the league in power plays in time shorthanded. So I know Arizona might not necessarily have a great power play, but if they get 4 or 5 chances, I'll absolutely take Jacob Chychrun at a reasonable ownership at, I think it's 5,200 on DK. Provorov also 5K, correlating just fine. Anybody else to go?
If you're going to the Flyers second line, Rasmus Ristolainen, 4K secondary power play. He's not a great player, but he, is better than Keith Yandel. That's all I'll say about correlating on power play too there.
Yeah, he is better than Keith Yandel. I will agree with you on that one. All right, let's get to the next one. Ottawa, 2.2 implied goal total going into Minnesota. The Wild have a 3.4 implied goal total. Now, there's been some confusion as to the lines. There was some lines put out by one of the Minnesota writers recently. It has Kirill Kaprizov down on the second line with Freddie Gaudreau and Ryan Hartman, and then a top line of Fiala, Eriksson, Ek, and Hartman. All I'll say about that switch is that while I think Kaprizov is a more puck-skilled hockey player, I think Kevin Fiala is a better two-way hockey player. And that's why I think Kevin Fiala on that top line makes the top line matchup for Ottawa a lot tougher in this game rather than if Kaprizov was there. So what are your thoughts on this one, Josh?
Yeah. And, Ottawa's back-to-back on the road. Foligno with Eriksson Ek have ridiculous defensive numbers. You throw Fiala up there with who is a better two-way winger, like you mentioned, than Kaprizov. That's going to be a very tough matchup for Ottawa 1. I know we both like Ottawa 1. I just don't know if tonight's the night you do it. You can do it as an ownership play. They're coming in around 2%. But again, 2.2 total, back-to-back on the road, 9-game slate. Not sure you need to go there. In GPPs, you don't need much to get over the field if you really do love them. That is also kind of a tough matchup for the Eriksson Ek line, I will say. And Marcus Foligno being up there kind of, turns me off from them offensively, especially at their ownership percentage. Like, they're way higher owned than Flyers top line right now. And I'd much rather play the Flyers top line. They're similarly priced. Yeah, Foligno is much cheaper than Konechny. There's about a 2K difference there, but at that ownership, I'd find a way to get in Flyers there. The second line, Kaprizov, Gaudreau, Hartman, they're getting ownership too. I get it. Minnesota 3.4 total at home going against Sens, who are a bad team, back to back on the road. But I think the Sens are a decent team. They're not a terrible team, I would say. And I think Philip Gustafsson is their best goalie. So at these ownerships, I'm probably going to be way under the field on the Wild here. I just don't like these lines. If you want a power play stack, do something like an Eriksson Ek, Fiala, Kaprizov. You can go there, but at these ownerships, I'm probably just going to be well under the field on both sides.
Yeah, I do like that Minnesota top line. Again, you brought up the ownership. I think I kind of want to dump down to that second line. Yeah. Because Gaudreau, I think Gaudreau is, we talk about underrated players a lot. And I know Nikolai Ehlers is technically an underrated player and Gaudreau is not Nikolai Ehlers, but I think Freddie Gaudreau is one of the more underrated players in the NHL. There's a reason he got moved up, at least onto the power play, second power play unit. He hadn't been getting a lot of power play time. And up to the second line is because he can handle those minutes. And I think he showed that in a small sample in Pittsburgh this year, and he's showing it in a small sample in Minnesota again this year. So it's probably a tough matchup going into some Ottawa. You'll get some Ottawa second line matchups maybe, but I really like that Gaudreau, Hartman, Kaprizov line. I think you're fine to just two-man Gaudreau and Hartman. You can leave Kaprizov off. Yeah, he might be the one that stirs the drink on that line, but if you're looking for a cheap two-man that's going to get some good depth matchups, I do like Gaudreau and Hartman. I think that's a good little two-man to stick in with some Toronto stacks or something like that. They're going to get a fair amount of ice time as well. And the thing with Ottawa is they're a better team than they were last year, but I think a lot of their improvements have come offensively. I don't know if they're a much better team defensively than they were last year, right? So I'm kind of out on Minnesota 1. I do like Fiala as a one-off. I do like Minnesota 2 a lot here. I also think we're overlooking Ottawa 1 a little bit. Their price is fairly reasonable, $17,500. I have them as my 6th overall number 1 line, which isn't great. But when you look at their ownership, there's almost none on them. Ottawa won coming in at 2%, and they're perfectly correlated at all strengths. So, yeah, 150 lineups. I think you might want to get some Ottawa in there. My 10 to 20, I might actually get one in there as well. So maybe a little Ottawa 1, more Minnesota 2 for me. On the blue line, Matt Dumba's price on FanDuel is hilariously low. So if you're playing over there, make sure you check out Dumba's price. Otherwise, I'm probably just correlating most players. Is there anybody else that sticks out? I know your boy, the Zoob, has seen a little bit of a price drop. Is it enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like Zoob he played 25 minutes last night. Like he's just been a minutes machine and a peripheral machine, but I don't know if you want to one-off him tonight. And you want to wait for a game where he's fresh, not back-to-back in a tough matchup. So, yeah, I'm probably just correlating tonight. Yep. Sorry, son.
Sounds about right. I talked about Yahoo a little bit earlier, and we have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up. You can also claim a free $10 below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. That's first-time users for Yahoo. Check out the link in the description below, which can get you a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, moving along. Dallas Stars, 2.6 implied goal total going into Winnipeg. The Jets have a 2.8 implied goal total. The Jets are welcoming back Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler. I don't know what you would call that line. Is it the third line? Is it the first line? Like, I'm not sure how that's going to go. Connor Hellebuck is not starting. He's not even going to be dressed for Winnipeg tonight. Congrats to him and his wife. They had I believe it was a baby boy this morning. So he's going to be home with his wife and newborn. So he won't be in the lineup tonight. That's really interesting for me. On the Dallas side, Dennis Gurianov might be a healthy scratch. Man, I don't know what's going on with the Stars, but they look to have a top 6 that's worth playing. So why don't you take us through it, Josh?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see this at a 5.5 total. Maybe it's like Dallas's pace. They've been playing at a very slow pace so far this season, but like I'm interested in both sides of this game. And I like this top one. I know people are going to go to like Ben, Sagan, Radulov because, the band's back together, but holy crap, will they let you down? And Sagan is 7,200. Like, what year is it? I know he gets over 20 minutes because the coach loves just like throwing Sagan out. Go on the ice, Sagan. Tyler, you can do it. But like, I'd rather play Robertson, Hintz, Pavelski. They're fully correlated on the top power play. Robertson, 4,300. They're coming in like 3-4%. No Hellebuck, who is one of the best goalies in the league. Jets have a rough PK. I don't really know what they're doing 5-on-5 here. There's not really a defensive matchup that's going to be like, I don't want to stack against. Like, yeah, maybe Kopp, Stastny, Ehlers, but like, I like this Dallas top line. If you want to use that Ben, Sagan, Radulov line, I think that's perfectly fine as well. They're a little bit more they're definitely more of like MME GPP for me. Like I consider Dallas 1 in about 5 lineups. I'd probably maybe 1 to 3. I have them on the table still. So I like both of the top 2 Dallas lines here. And on the Jet side, it's kind of outside of like the Kopp, Stastny, Ehlers line. I don't know if I want to full stack anything here. It'll be interesting to see how the Jets, send out their matchups because if I know people are going to be like, Scheifele, Wheeler on the third line, they're going to get some cupcake matchups, but like they may get Faxka. Like I'm not sure how they're going to like Paul Maurice is going to deploy these lines here. So outside of the Kopp, Stastny, Ehlers line, which I really like, and they have very low ownership, like very, very low. I think I will just stick to, like a 2-man or do a couple power play things, like do a Dubois, Scheifele, Wheeler for some power play action, but not go crazy. So if I was going to full stack anything, again, it'd be that Edmonton second line. I do like the top 6 in Dallas.
Yeah, I do want to mention the line matching. We get our line matching from Gnarly Rad Dude on Twitter. If anybody wants a subscription,
imagine why he's single.
Just want to mention it's not a subscription through us. It's somebody we subscribe to. He does it independently, so it's not an Awesemo subscription or anything like that. Anyways, he has his line matching out, and it makes sense that he has Scheifele and Wheeler going out against the Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson line, right? Because Scheifele and Wheeler forever have been taking top competition, right? It's just that they've typically done it with Kyle Connor and not Adam Lowry. But if they're going to leave Lowry on that line, it at least tells me they want them to play a little bit more defensive. So it could tell, they're not going to play Mark Scheifele 14 minutes tonight as a third liner. That's just not what's going to happen, right? So I expect Scheifele and Wheeler are going to see a lot of that Hintz line. And I love that matchup for Hintz and Pavelski and Robertson. This was a line in their total sample together with an expected goals over 3. They've just been excellent together. I really like that Dallas top line. So that's where I'm going to go. That's those second and third lines for Winnipeg. If you don't get the Scheifele Wheeler line, you could be in for a tough matchup here tonight. Kopp, Stastny, and Ehlers has been a pretty good line together, right? And you talk about Seguin, Radulov, and Ben not scoring. I looked at their numbers over the last 3 years, 51% shot share and 55% expected goal share, which is that's fine. That's good. 1.3 goals per 16 minutes. That's penalty kill scoring levels. I'm serious. So I'm out on Dallas too. Anybody else want to play Dallas too? I'm not going to say no because they do typically have had good numbers together. I think Dallas one's going to get a better matchup and it's just a better line. So yeah, Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson for me out of this game. Not going to be stacking anything from the Winnipeg side. If there's something to come for me from the Winnipeg side, I don't mind a 2-man of Wheeler Scheifele. Those idiots are going to play 19 minutes or whatever. So, and if Winnipeg somehow has an empty net situation, they're playing the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. So if I'm playing anything on the Winnipeg side, I don't mind Scheifele and Wheeler, but I'm probably not playing any Winnipeg forwards. For me, it's Dallas one or bust. On the blue line, Schmidt and Morrissey look like they're going to be on the Scheifele power play unit with Pionk on the other one. Klingberg, again, running the top power play unit for Dallas with Suter and Heiskanen on the second. Is there anybody that sticks out to you?
I mean, I probably just correlate. Klingberg 4,400 is a nice price with, Dallas 1. Miro at 6,400 with Dallas 2. That's just that's a lot to pay for 1.3 expected goals. You know what I mean?
Again, I think Miro, I don't have a problem particularly playing Miro as a one-off, Miro Heiskanen as a one-off in this game. If you had this salary and you wanted to do that, I'd say go right ahead. I don't know if I would stack him. I think he's just a one-off play for me. All right, let's move it along. I think probably to my favorite game on the entire slate here. Nashville, 2.5 implied goal total going into Calgary. Calgary has a 3.0 implied goal total. Now, Nashville looks like they're going with a top line of Duchesne and Granlund and Forsberg. And that looks like a good top line to me. But now Ryan Johansson's down on the second line with Luke Cunnin and Eeli Tolvanen. And now it's a small sample, but going back to last year, in 56 minutes together, Eeli Tolvanen and Luke Cunnin, 37% shot share, 33% expected goal share. They've been just getting throttled whenever they face off against any sort of stiff competition. And the way Calgary runs their lines, that Calgary top line is going to see the second and third lines from Nashville tonight, not the top line. So, that's why Calgary 1 is one of my favorite spots on the slate, but I'm going to let you just take this away, Josh.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you see their ownership is at 5.5% right now. And it's just a great spot. Of course, I forget his name again. I'm going to call him the Muppet. The Muppet has the Flames playing very, very good hockey. Their defensive numbers are easily in the top 10 in the NHL. I don't know what else to say. Calgary 1 fully correlated on the power play, getting 5.5% ownership. It checks all the boxes. They're going to get, Ryan Johansson, who's 6,800, which is a hilarious price. Lock buttoning Ryjo tonight, 6,800. But Calgary 1 is arguably my favorite line of the night. they are a bit pricey, but there's so much value on today's slate that pricing doesn't really matter. You know, what else from this game? There's not much on the Calgary side that I really like. Like if you want a two-man Coleman Backlund, I think that's fine. Their ownership is a bit high. Their ownership's higher than Calgary won right now. So like I think people are just assuming that Backlund Coleman are going to get, they're just assuming Flames are going 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. I think that's the only explanation that could be. So at that ownership, I probably fade Calgary too. Calgary won, Calgary power play. If you want to include Monahan at 3,500, Monahan's not a great player anymore, but at that price on top power play, I think you can include him. On the Predators side, I really do like that top line. I don't know how, Michael Granlund's still an NHL center. He really should be on the wing, but they're fully correlated on the power play. They are coming in at 1.5% ownership, and that's the appeal, right? Because the Flames are a good defensive team. So you just hope they can capitalize on some special teams, and you don't need much to get over the field if you're 20 maxing or 150 maxing. So, and they're fully correlated at that ownership. So that's what's drawing me there. So both top lines, but Calgary one's my favorite spot of the night, arguably.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add here. Calgary, like when I was writing my power plays article up last night and doing research just before I even looked at the pricing, Calgary one was one of my favorite lines of the whole slate. And now I see their ownership and all that. Like Calgary one, like they just keep going up and up. Like they're in my S tier tonight for lines. So I do like Calgary one, but I'm glad that you mentioned Nashville one because I think they get wildly overlooked tonight. Like you said, almost no ownership coming in under 2%. And against that Coleman Pitlick line, like they haven't been great, right? Like break even shot share underwater by expected goal share. That's not elite. It's Calgary, like Calgary 1, 3, and 4 have been great. Calgary 2 has been fine. And I think if you can get that matchup, which Nashville 1 is going to get a lot, they can take advantage of it. And Nashville and like Forsberg and Granlund have typically had great numbers together going back a few years. And adding Duchesne there, who's both a playmaker and a shooter, he's going through a tough stretch, a little snake bitten stretch. Nashville 1, I think if you're looking to get a top line that's going to have absolutely no ownership, like Calgary 1 is 5%. That's very little ownership, but Nashville 1 coming in under 2%, I think is just fine as well. But yeah, Calgary 1 is where I'm focusing here. On the blue line, Roman Josi, 8,200. Like I want to play him for 8,200. I want to play him, but I think 8,200 is just way too much in that matchup. Rasmus Anderson. Obviously, if you're correlating, he's fine, but his price has come down quite a bit. He was in the mid fives at one point. Now he's at 4,300 on DK. Anybody else stick out to you?
Not really. Like I'm not itching to play, like Oliver Kylington, Christopher Tanev. Like these names just don't jump off the page. So if you're not using Josi or Anderson for correlated stacks, I'm going to look elsewhere.
Yep. And also, like somebody just mentioned in chat, what about Sean Monahan? Like, if you want to add Sean Monahan to a Calgary power play stack, I have absolutely no issues with that at all. So, yeah.
Full Calgary power play is pretty cheap when you add in Monahan and Anderson. So,
yeah, exactly. And it's a nice spot.
Play in GPPs. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice little spot that we got there. So, yeah, Calgary, we definitely do like that spot tonight. The Awesemo Hall of Fame. Have you ever wondered about how you could get in, Josh? I know you're going to get in.
You see the bags under my eyes. I can't sleep until I get in.
Well, Josh, I'm going to tell you how you can get in. You download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. You place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants, and you tweet the win to the Awesemo Hoff account. You can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can only win 1 free month a year. And we're showing some winners up on the screen right now. You see Jay Hood won $100K. Over in NBA. Those NBA guys have just been absolutely cleaning up all year long. We had a guy over an NHL player, Spuffer, I think it was, take down 25K just last week. You see smaller banks up on the screen as well. You see $150 bank as well. If you want to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, you see $1,000 bank as well from a top 3. You don't need to win $100,000 to get in the Awesemo Hall of Fame. You don't need to win $50,000 to get recognition. We want you guys, even if you're only playing for a few dollars a night, we want you guys to win, and we want to celebrate your wins. So make sure to tweet your wins to Awesemo Hoff account. Follow all the directions that you see on your screen. You can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Not a bad little deal. All right, we got 3 games left. Let's get around to them. The first one, New York Rangers have a 2.9 implied goal total. They're going into Vancouver. The Canucks have a 2.6 implied goal total. Vancouver putting the lotto line together, Pettersson, Besser, and Miller. They're also back all on the power play together, as we got news while we were on the show that Alex Chiasson has finally been booted back to the second power play unit. Thank you for that. All right. I think there should be some stuff to like on both sides here, but I don't see big goal totals. So what do you think, Josh?
I see Vegas giving Igor the respect he deserves. That's what I see.
That's what this is about. All right.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously. You see, Vancouver has not been great, and they're going to send Horvat. I would assume Horvat's going to get the top comp. Of course, my line matching is frozen because my computer is from like 1973 and nothing loads ever. So I'm going to assume Horvat goes against Zibanejad, and then the lotto line is going to get either Strome, Panarin, Kakko, or Hida, Lafreniere, Blais, Sammy Blais, whatever. I kind of like the Rangers' second line tonight. I'm kind of, 5.5 total. There's a lot of 5.5 totals, and I find myself liking a lot of these low total games, which is kind of scary. But I like this Panarin, Strome, Kakko line. Just, ownership, price, like Kakko 2,700. Like he's coming back from an injury. I think he needed a couple games to get, back into the flow of things. At that price, you can full stack that line comfortably. Vancouver has been middle of the road. I think I'm being nice defensively there. I kind of also like Zibanejad, Kreider, Gaudreau if they're going to get the Horvat matchup like that. The Horvat line has not been great this season at all. So I know I've been off the Zibanejad line because, the Rangers don't have any NHL right wingers, but Kreider's been on one, and he's a very streaky player. So you got to ride the Kreider wave when he's hot. So Zibanejad, Kreider, 2-man is fine. You want to include Panarin in there for some power play opportunity, that's fine. The lotto line, if you want to play it, sure. Like there's a lot of MME lines that I like, but I also like both goalies in this game a lot. So I understand the 5.5 total, but I think, you can definitely use the top 6 on both sides tonight.
Yeah, I want to just talk about the Rangers real quick, because on the season, they're allowing the 10th most shot attempts while shorthanded. They're allowing the 9th most times shorthanded per game. And now the lotto line is finally reassembled all together on the top power play unit. Like, there's some things that are really aligning for me, and that's one of them. Is like, this seems like a good power play spot for that top line, or for the lotto line for Vancouver of Miller, Pettersson, and Besser. It's just like their 5-on-5 numbers have been kind of funny, like about 50% shot share, but they're still scoring about 3.8 goals per 60 minutes. So like, I don't really care that they're not running the play. They're still scoring a lot of goals, right? So
Rangers don't really run the play on any of their lines. So this could be a very high-paced game.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I do like that Vancouver lotto line again. And I look at their ownership. They're coming in at Calgary One's ownership, which is like between 5 or 6%. Igor does worry me. Like, we joke about Igor, but I do think he is one of the best goalies in hockey, and that does concern me. But if you're going to give Vancouver 4 or 5 power plays and the Rangers don't have an elite penalty kill outside of Igor, I think it's worth taking some stabs with that Vancouver lotto line. Obviously, you can mix in Horvat as well for some additional power play exposure. I do like that Horvat Hoglander 2-man. I just don't know if I want to stack them. Like, there's just other spots that I like better tonight. And it's not like they're coming in like super low owned. Like, I thought I'd get them at like fractions of a percent, not at 2 or 3%. So I think there are other spots anywhere, every other places as well. I do like Vancouver's not taking a whole lot of penalties is my one problem with playing the Rangers here tonight. So I think I'd much rather even strength stack a line than power play stack. And I talk about Capo Caco in my power plays article this morning. I do like that Rangers second line a little bit, but for me, it's all about that Vancouver power play. On the blue line, anybody sticking out to you other than players that we should correlate?
No, not really. Like Trouba's overpriced. Keandre Miller his peripherals have fallen off a cliff. So just correlation for me.
I guess we should mention Travis Hamonic is back in the lineup and he's 2,500 mid price. If he plays 19 minutes, he could be worth it. I also should mention, I don't mind either goalie in this game. All right, let's move it along. New Jersey, 2.9 implied goal total going into Anaheim. The Ducks have a 2.6 implied goal total. Rickard Rakell's still out. Looks like the Anaheim line stayed together all last game for the first time, God knows how long. So we are getting some consistent Anaheim lines. There is one line that I like in this game, but it's not on Anaheim. What do you like out of this game, Josh?
I think we might be on the same line here tonight. Dawson Mercer, come on down.
Dawson Mercer season, baby.
Dawson Mercer, Jesper Bratt, Andreas Janssen. I mean, the Ducks. The Ducks. Like, what is it? The Ducks. Like, I mean, they have John Gibson, and that's about it. But I do really like this Dawson Mercer, Jesper Bratt, Andreas Janssen line. They're super cheap. They are 11-4 to full stack. They get two guys on the top power play. They're coming in at 1-2%. They're almost a 3 total on the road. So no respect to John Gibson. Good Lord. But that's the line I like. That top line, if you want to do it, Pavel Zacha, Nico Hischier, Tomas Tatar, like I'm not going to tell you no, but those prices are a bit wonky for me. I'll probably go to that second line. On the Ducks side, I'm not going to full stack anything. I will probably, if I was going to use the Ducks, do a couple two-mans or like a Zegras, Henrique, or like do a couple power play guys like Terry Getzlaff with a Comtois if you want to get spicy on a 9-game slate. But really, it's just Devils 2 out of this game.
For me, it's Anaheim's pricing. And their prices come up because they have been scoring, but I think their prices are much higher than they should be for how good or bad that team is. So that's just what's pushing me away from Anaheim. I just don't have them as any good values. And I'm not going to be like, oh, I have to jam in some Anaheim tonight, even though I have them as bad values.
Like in last season.
Exactly. This isn't February 2021 anymore. But I am with you on Mercer and Bratt. They had been skating on this had been getting some power play time together. I think they've been split up, but Mercer and Bratt they have a really high shot attempt rate in their small sample together, 71 per 60 minutes. They played almost 70 minutes together, so it's not a tiny 2-game sample anymore. This is like 5 or 6 games. So Mercer, Janssen, Bratt, I think that's my favorite filler line on the entire slate. And they're not coming in with much ownership. And like I said, they're generating a lot of offense. Could be expensive to stick in with Dougie Hamilton, but I don't think you need to. I think just the 5-on-5 line is just fine. All right, one last game to get to real quick. Before we get to it, if you guys could drop a like and subscribe before we get out of here, especially the subscription. We're getting close to 65K subscribers. Makes us look real good for the bosses. We have PGA Strategy Show coming up at 5 o'clock Eastern with Jason and Eric, and then the NBA Deeper Dive with Laffy and Adam after that. That leads into Live Before Lock with Eric and Greg. All right, final game. Buffalo 2.9 implied goal total going into San Jose. The Sharks have a 3.1 implied goal total. The Sharks are a mess. A bunch of guys are still on COVID. Looks like they might get Jonathan Dahlin back, but now Timo Meyer's out. And guys coming in and out of COVID every day, it worries me when this is the last game, one of the last games on the slate. Buffalo looks like they're going to be without Victor Olofsson. I think that hurts that second line a fair bit because he's probably the best goal scorer on that line. So what do you like out of this real quick, Josh?
Not much. It's just like it's a 10:30 game. There's COVID concerns on the Sharks. The Sabres are without arguably their best player. There just is not much to like. There's some one-offs. Like you see, like Tomas Hertl, 5,200 is okay, but he's coming in around 18% right now. No Timo Meyer on the top line really hurts Couture, and he's overpriced right now at 7,400. There just isn't much there that I think you want a full stack. If you want to pull some one-offs, that's fine. But, I'm probably not going to have much of this game. And if it burns me late, it burns me late. But I just have to be off this game for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I might, maybe if you want to one-off a Skinner or, something like that, or like you said, one-off a Hurl, that's fine. But I'm not stacking anything. All right, we got to get out of here. I'm going to ask you for your goalie and your hat trick pick. My favorite goalie on the slate, I think he's starting, is Robin Leonard. My hat trick pick is Matty Tkachuk. Who you got?
I like both goalies in the Rangers game, Igor and Demko. And my hat trick pick is going to be Travis Konechny.
Travis Konechny and Matthew Tkachuk are your hat trick picks for today. All right, we got to get out of here. Good luck tonight, everybody. For Tyler Zander, our producer, for Josh Harris, I'm Michael Clifford saying we'll be back tomorrow.